Hey folks, David Stewart here. Hope you guys are having a great day. I want to talk a little bit about yearly cycles because a new year has just come upon us. So it's a good time to stop and reflect on yearly cycles, not just the cycle of the seasons, but how the cycle of the seasons affect us as people and especially how they affect us as artists, as creative individuals. So something I talk a little bit about in my book, Keys to Prolific Creativity, which you can get, I think, for $2.99 on Amazon, which has a lot of stuff on how to create and manage your creative process so that you're able to complete your projects, finish them on time, under budget, get them out there for people to look at. One of the things I talk about in the book, and this is really what I want to focus on in the video, is that you can't always have the same high level of productivity all of the time. There are going to be things that disrupt that. There's going to be things in your life that come up and stop you from being productive. That's normal. And for me, I've realized that this happens a lot with a yearly cycle. That the way that we occupy ourselves during the year and the way the seasons change and the events that happen in those seasons really alter my ability to be productive. Not just in a practical sense, like you need to have time to write and to create things, but in a more of a feeling, the feeling that you have, maybe in a spiritual sense or a sense of the self, your energy of yourself. So at different times of the year, you're more energized to do different things. This is something that I think if you're not aware of, if you're not like willing to go with that flow a little bit, it's easy to get upset with yourself because you're not being productive enough, or you're not being productive in the ways that you want to be productive. So one of the main things in the book is like you have to know yourself and what your priorities are. One of the things I don't talk about is that those priorities and feelings change with a yearly cycle. So in January to me is always a year of a lot of high energy to do new things. It's a new year. People make New Year's resolutions. I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to pick up a gym membership, yada, 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 whatever it's going to be. It's a good time to do that. It's a great time to stop and reflect about what you want to change and what you want to add into your life. So January is a great year to make a big change and to add all the things into your life that you want to add into your life. Then after January, we start to enter the season of Lent. Now, you may not celebrate Lent or you may not partake in the fasting portions of Lent, depending on your religious persuasion. But I notice a lot of people, even if they're not religious, there's like this March doldrums. What's this March doldrums? Part of that is the academic cycle. There's a yearly cycle to the academic work, and you're kind of right in the middle of the semester in March. But for me, that Lenten season is about taking away. So the January, February, what can we add? Let's get started on new projects. You feel very energized to do new things. By March, you start to slow down a little bit. Things start to be a little bit more grindy, and that's a good time to start thinking about taking things away. In Lent, you may be fasting from things, you may be giving things up, but it's also a great time to think about like what is not necessary from my life that I could realistically jettison. For me, this always happens is like, if I'm playing an MMO, March is usually usually the part of the year where I stop playing it. It's a thing I give up because I get bored with it and I want to focus and do other interesting things. So it's about shifting what you're doing in March, and it's about taking things away. Can I what can I take away? Can I give up this thing that I'm doing? So your life will start to feel cluttered, so you get to start reducing some of the things that you do. Then towards like April and May, there's another, you get a lot of energy from the weather. The springtime comes. You get more sunlight. The days get longer. You switch over to daylight savings time. It starts to energize you to do more things in a given day. And feeling like you can do lots of things in a given day often means you do more things in the day. It's a mindset thing. When the days are short, when the nights are long, you usually feel like you're out of time to do things. I noticed that in the winter, especially when it comes to working outside. It's like, oh, it's dark already. I guess I can't go do this project because I need sunlight to do it. Well, in the spring, you start to have a lot of sunlight. You get to be able to do a lot of those things. There's also this feeling in the weather. The weather turns around. It's not hot yet, but it's warm enough. things are blooming. Life is coming back into everything. Of course, I lived in Central California, so spring really happened in February, but I would get this feeling still in like April, beginning of April, basically around Easter. Easter, re-energizes you, and you get a good couple of weeks where you feel really productive, and you can just really attack your projects and finish things up, get them out. You're just going to feel like you have a lot of energy, and that's good. You embrace it. And then you know that come summer, things are going to shift yet again. So you kind of go back to that church calendar, Pentecost, right? You have like 40 days after Easter, you have Pentecost, and then your work focus will focus to other things. You get towards the end of the school year. Things get really busy, hectic towards the end of the school year if you're in school. You have finals. If you're a teacher, you're doing a lot of work. If you have students that are in school, that are your kids, there's always a bunch of stuff that happens. There's concerts and playoff games and this and that. And maybe your kids are in sports, so it's the end of the sports season. So you have the end of a bunch of things that happen towards really a little ways after Easter, like end of May. You start to get things wrapping up, and then you get the summer. And the summer is always another time where you do new things, you do new projects, because school goes away for lots of people. And even if school doesn't go away, school goes away for the people that you know in your life. And so that tends to be a time where people are like, well, now I'm looking to play a new game. I'm looking to start a new tabletop RPG. I'm looking to begin a new book. I'm looking to go on a trip. I'm looking to work on my house. All of these new projects pop up in summer. Now, for me, what I realized as a creative person is that I get a lot of energy in January, and it gets harder in March, but I still am pretty energetic, and the focus intensifies. I get a burst of energy in spring. Summer is when it starts to suck, because what I realized for a long time is I had this belief that summer, with my wife being off work and with my kids not having to do as much school, we keep learning all through summer because I homeschool. Yes, I'm one of those dads who keeps the kids learning basically year round. But anyway, with that focus being less, I'm like, I'm going to have all day to work on my projects. No. Because there's a million things, a million of those other things come up in summer, the things I mentioned. There's a bunch of house projects that pop up. There are trips that everybody wants to go on. Everybody wants you to visit. Everybody wants to visit you. It's just going to eat up all of your time that you think you have to work and be creative. So one of the things I realized is you really got to adjust your expectations and know what you're in for in summer. Is that you may feel excited to work, but you're probably going to be so busy with all the other things that enter your life in summer, it's going to be hard to find time to work. And that's really when you have to focus extra hard on establishing your own routine and carrying the routine you've established in January all the way through into summer. So that routine for me is usually writing at night or doing content at night. It's doing things after the kids go to sleep. And so if I can keep that going, then in summer, when things are really busy, you've already established all your good habits. You just have to carry them through. If you're going to the gym, you just keep going to the gym. You just keep attacking your goals and know that you're not going to like have an extra 5 hours a day during the summer usually to work on your projects, unless you're single and living in a city away from every other person you know. And even then you're going to have people that are like, oh, let's go boating, let's go do this. Everybody wants to do recreational stuff in summer. And so if you're a creative person looking to work during the summer, you might have a hard time. But the important thing to remember, and I've learned this personally, you just carry through with your established routines from the beginning of the year, the ones that you always do. Always be practicing, always be writing, just carry those through. No, you're not going to, it's unlikely you're going to be extra productive with all those extra things entering your life, but you can maintain a similar level of productivity through the summer. And then as the summer winds down, you have a return to school, you have the fall, things get colder. And again, that's the time where you get rid of things, right? New things enter, other things get rid of. It becomes all about like focus on school and things like that. And so you have to give up a lot of the recreation stuff. You stop boating. Maybe you took up a hobby over summer. That starts to take the back seat because you have to finish up all this fall stuff. And then boom, you enter up, you nowadays in the West, you have this busy fall holiday season that really starts in October. So summer wraps up in August, and then you're going back to school maybe, or just really dealing with things becoming overwhelmingly busy and having to focus and remove more things, kind of like in that Lenten season. Then you end up in the holidays where things are busy. Halloween, if you have kids, Halloween's a whole season of decorating and making costumes and preparing and going to events. Everybody has a Halloween event every weekend. And then the Thanksgiving thing, and that takes up a lot of time. So, you have 2 days off for Thanksgiving, but really you spend those 2 days prepping to do this giant Thanksgiving feast. And then you spend the next 2 days frantically shopping and getting ready for this materialistic Christmas season that we have. So the typical person in the West is going to be super busy October through December, which means National Novel Writing Month in November is one of the worst months that you could do it. You really need to do it in April or January. Those are much better months to do National Novel Writing Month. November is one of the worst because you're also, if you're in school, you're looking forward to finals, and lots of people wanting to do NaNoWriMo are students. So they're really getting ready to end the semester. They're too busy to be writing an entire novel for November with the Thanksgiving holidays and all the other shopping and whatever for Christmas that you have to do. If you go back to church calendar, again, I feel like the church calendar kind of emphasizes this. You have the whole Advent season that leads up to Christmas, and then you have 12 days of Christmas that ends with like Epiphany after the New Year. And those are times where you're really a lot more focused on spiritual things and family things. Things get darker. You're less able to travel. You maybe get snowed in more. It gets colder. You become less able to do things that are external to you, and you become forced to do more things that are right in front of you and that are local to you. So I personally get a huge creative boost really starting in October and going through November, even into December, but it definitely peters out by the time Christmas comes along for some of the reasons that I talked about. You get really busy. I personally get a lot of energy for that because you become less able to do, go out and do lots of different things, and you have to be more focused on what's right in front of you, what's in your home domestically. And for me, that means a lot of creative work. So books that I've written in November. What books have I written in November? I wrote Eyes on the Walls. I wrote the entire Needle Ash 3 books, which now you buy as one book. I don't have a copy right here. So I wrote those in November. I wrote Prophet of the Godseed in November. I wrote a big portion of the Moonsong books in November and December and October of 1 year. I wrote like a huge amount of them. I write a lot of books in November, and that's just a good month for me. Even though I say it's a bad month for NaNoWriMo, that's because of general stuff with people, not necessarily for me. So if you're one of those people that gets super busy in November, you're a student, that is a-okay and normal. For me, I get energized to do it simply because things start to get more focused on the home going into December. So anyway, that's a yearly cycle. Then it starts all over again. You get really busy around Christmas, and then boom, all the busyness goes away, and you're just free to go, what do I want to add into my life this year? And the cycle starts over again. You add things in January, you start to take them away in the middle of the year. You add new things in summer, you take them away for fall. You focus really intensely on holidays and family towards the end of the year, which is going to be basically free you up to do the next year all over again. So embracing that yearly cycle to me has really helped my productivity and helped my mindset, because this past Christmas I just knew, I so want to work on this one project that I have, but I just know it's not going to happen. I know I'm not going to have time to do it. My family obligations are going to be too overwhelming. And so you stop, you accept that, you accept reality. I'm going to be focusing on my family obligations, and I'm going to be trying to recharge a little bit and get ready for a really explosive January creatively, and really thinking about what I'm going to do for the channel, for my books, for maybe a video game, things that I'm really excited to start working on in 2023 as I'm recording this. That's really what I made my Christmas about, and it kept my mind a lot happier and healthier, and I just embraced it, focused on my spirituality, focused on my family, focused on giving people the experience they want for the holidays. And just focusing on other people was the big one for this for this past Christmas. I'm not a huge fan of the Christmas season. Sometimes you guys can glean that a little bit, but I love other people, and so this is a chance to say, you know, I'm not gonna be upset that I can't work on the things I want to work on, and instead I'm going to embrace the reality that there's a lot of family obligations, and I can make people have a good time with those. So anyway, that's yearly cycles. Not something I talk about in the Keys to Prolific Creativity, but I talk about lots of other things, including sprints. And for lots of people, the way that your year's organized is going to determine how productive you can be, because there's only so much you can do in a day. So I recommend for most people you write like every day as much as you can, maybe a couple hundred words, 1,000 words, 2,000 words, whatever you feel like you have time and energy to do is good. And then you can do sprints when you have lots of time, when you have really that energy in January. January is a great month to sit down and be like, I'm going to write 100,000 words this month. And just do it, you know, just sit down and like attack your goal for January, and know that by the time you get to February or March, you're going to maybe be a little bit burned out on attacking that thing, and you can pull back from it a little bit and, you know, start pulling back and taking things out of your life so that you have a little more free time, a little more leisure, and be a little bit more relaxed. So it's energy and relaxation. You can't be on 100% of the time. And I talk about this with sprints. I'm like 6 weeks is really the max. You know, I can write a book in 6 weeks, and a long book, and really focus on it and put it out. At the end of those 6 weeks, I'm going to start feeling burned out from the intensity of the schedule and the intensity of the focus on the project. I'm going to want to turn off, do other things, watch TV. I don't usually watch TV, but maybe watch an anime or play some games, like, you know, re-up to Final Fantasy or World of Warcraft and play that for a week or two, and just really let my focus go all over the place before I come back in and do the next project. I don't do a lot of sprints. I try to keep it pretty consistently, but even within that consistency, there's times where I'm more intensely focused and times where I'm just, you know, a lot more go with the flow. The main thing is you want to have the habits and the discipline already established so that you never feel like you're just not doing anything. Like every day you're sitting down, you're doing something, even if it's just write a couple hundred words or plan a book or record a video or something. You're always doing something productive. But sometimes you're going to feel like extra productive and focused. You can do even more. Other times you're not going to be able to, and that's okay too. So take it easy. Leave me your thoughts down below in the comment section about yearly cycles. I will see you guys next time, and I hope you have a great day. Newest books are Afterglow and Ultra Falda. This is tragic fantasy, and this is a collection of books dealing with Generation Y. So please check those out. In fact, you probably maybe even read a lot of these stories because they're free audiobooks on the channel. So check them out, and I'll see you all next time.